Welcome to everyone that is joining us today on another episode of TechBiz. My name is Edwin Ajogun. I'm your host for today, as usual. I'm the country director for at Eco Innovation Center. We are big on enterprise development and, of course, improving employability in this country we call Nigeria. And once we do this once every week. We bring in people who we consider leaders in your space to come and speak on the things that make them tick, the things that they think you should know to grow your business and get it from where it is to where you want it to be. So today is going to be another fantastic day in TechBiz. We're going to have a very wonderful speaker, a very knowledgeable speaker, someone that I respect a lot from afar. You know me, but I know him. Someone I'm going to talk about a very important topic, and I think it's a market that I still feel like Nigeria has not yet really cracked it yet, even though it's something that is very, very valuable globally. But of course, with a lot more investment and a lot more know-how, nuance, and be able to get it to where we want it to be, we can be able to see it become maybe the next fintech, right? And we're talking about the sector of EduTech here, right? Before I start talking too much, let me just implore you to please follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us on LinkedIn, like our pages, please. And of course, join our group on Telegram to ask questions and interrogate, quote unquote, the speakers after the event. Remember also that you can always go back to our website and download the slides that is going to present, and also to check out the video, this particular video that we have been able to save. I would like to implore you that please pay attention, listen, and of course, at the end of the talk, you can always ask questions in the chat box that has been available to you on AirMeet. If you are watching any of our streaming services in any of our platforms, please post your questions in the comment sections, and our tech people will pass it on to the speaker. This one has posted the links in our chat box, so please go there. If you're on this, if you're on AirMeet right now, please go there and like and follow, and we would love to have you join our community. So, just a little bit about the speaker today, or rather, let me start about the topic. So, the thing about today's topic is the EduTech and the new norms in achieving quality education. Education is a very big topic right now because we are seeing different things from massive strikes to ladies coming on social media to say that they don't really care about education anymore, which is obviously their right. But then we cannot deny the fact that education is the foundation for every progress we want to make as a country, right? And beyond education, we have EduTech. EduTech is pretty much the space that tries to use technology to kind of like innovate around how educational materials are being delivered to people like you and I. And it's a very big market. I mean, I think globally it's worth about it was worth about $85 billion in 2020, and it's looking at growing to $181 billion in 2027. 2025 and 285 billion in 2027. So this is a very, very, very huge market, and we've seen different trends going around, even in similar economies like in India. Theirs is growing at a percent about 31%. We have seen some of the there's a sort of that just raised funding that has worth about now. I think it was about $2 million recently. I mean, here in Nigeria, you hear US that's raising about $7.5 million next say, and you have so many. So I mean, I even remember the startup that was that is run by this lady that did the former country director at UK Nigeria Tech Hub that raised $2 million, I think, on just a pitch deck for EduTech. So this is something that investors recognize that there's a huge gap in Nigeria. People are not yet really playing well in that space. And even when we have people that are playing well, we have people that are pretty much doing the same thing, attacking the same market. So there's really a need for innovation, and there's really a need for us to look at this market, in a different light, right? Because it's increasing, it's growing on year. I mean, globally it's growing at 17%. And in India, it's a similar economy to us, growing at 31% every year. So there's something there, right? And we really need to be able to, tap into it as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. And that is what the speaker today is coming to talk to us about, Mr. Oluwatosin Oloko-obi. I hope I'm pronouncing that. I hope there's not sanction me for this when we finish. Okay, so he is a professional teacher, leader, an educational advisor, and an EduTech enthusiast. He has over 5 years of experience in the educational sector. He possesses a strong track record of improving academic performance and teaching effectively, the skills as communicating complex information in a simple and entertaining manner to any audience, a seasoned tutor with the ability to be a team player and resolve problems and conflicts professionally. So we are in good hands today to talk about this topic, and I cannot wait to hear what he has to say. Again, like I said before, please kindly follow us on all our platforms, and of course, this video will be available for you to download and will stream after this. But at this point in time, we want to leave the floor now and stop talking and give it open to Mr. Oluwatosin. And I'm for the next 45 minutes, we'll listen to him talk. Afterwards, please send in your questions, and I'm sure you'll be willing to answer them. Thank you very much, Mr. Oluwatosin. You have the floor.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Edwin.
Good evening,
Thank you
sir.
very much for having me this evening. It's so great to be here this evening, and so thankful to all of our listeners and everybody around the world for joining us in this space this evening to discuss EduTech, the new norms to achieving quality education. So, this is Oluwatosin Oloko-obi from Full Insight, an academic advisor, and just like you have said. But very quickly, I would like to thank Mr. Edwin Ajogun for that great, wonderful introduction. You have actually helped us to, you have given us an access to the direction of what we are going to be discussing this evening. And I love the fact that in your introduction section, you made mention of the ASU strike. And we are so aware, we are all aware about the great effect that this strike is continuing to post on the learning procedures of students all over the country. So we cannot shy away from this truth. And the question we are going to be asking ourselves often is, as this ASU strike is going to be happening, because it's like it's not happening sequentially. There's a sequence for the strike. It's happening every time. Before you know it, you hear about strike. And the student, you see students who are supposed to spend 4 years in school, 5 years in school, spending 8, 6, 7 years. So all of these are what we are going to be looking at this evening, and we are going to be seeing how EduTech is going to be helping us to achieve all of this breakthrough, and how it is now a new norm in the education sector, and how it is going to help us achieve the quality education that we deserve. However, it will be so great for me to tell you about what we do at Foster Insight. At Foster Insight, one of our own goals is to see that every child outside there, irrespective of their background, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of their environment, irrespective of their physical ability, that they have access to what quality education is about. We are so passionate about this, and over the last few months, we have been looking towards an access into the core north region, because we observed that in the last few years, the access to quality education has been so focused to the southwestern region of the country. And so we are looking at, we begin to ask ourselves, okay, if all of the children from the south region of the country have access to quality education, so what happens about the children from the northern region of the country? So all of these are questions that we have been looking towards. And one thing that we have been able to check through is that we have observed that even the access to quality education, this is one of the great problems that is dealing with us in this country. And access to quality education is one thing that every one of us must have access to, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whether you are from the Yoruba tribe, just like we have different ethnic groups in the country today. So all of these things are what has been going through us. We have been carrying out a series of research to see how we can help all of these children to get access to quality education. However, today we are going to be taking it sequentially, we are going to be taking it gradually, and we are going to be discussing. So before we proceed, it is important for us to understand that EduTech is one of the branches of the tech industries. It is one of the key areas that a lot of persons have not really get access to. A lot of persons have not really dived into the importance and the wealth in the EdTech industry. So you can actually call it EduTech or you call it EdTech. So these are the names that you can call it. That is the application of technology in making sure that education is accessible. And it is also important that we understand that there is a difference between quality education and schooling. Schooling is not the same thing as quality education. Quality education is one of those things, or is a factor on its own. One thing we talk about quality education is access to quality education, that is an education that will help you, that will give you lifelong skills. That is, when nobody is there with you, you should be able to thrive with all of the access to the education you have been given to. So with this, I'll be giving 3 points, and these 3 points will form the basis of our discussion around the EdTech today. So, and what are these 3 points? One of the 3 points is that EdTech at its own, it will help us to promote the outcome of students, because we cannot overemphasize the fact that quality education, the person or the people at the receiving end of quality education are the children. That is, in Nigeria today, we have a lot of out of school children. So when you say out of school children, you're talking about children who don't have access to the school building, students who don't have access to the right education, and this is one of the rights that they deserve. They want it. It is part of their one or two streets in the rural even in the school environment. So all of these are questions that we'll be checking, and all of these are questions that we'll be checking together. We'll be checking these questions together. That is one thing that EdTech does, is to help us promote the learning outcome of students. Another question is it will help reduce the burden of teaching or of learning on the instructors. You can imagine that you visit government schools today. The government are trying, they are actually doing their best, and I must give them kudos when you see people doing their best. It is not actually easy. Education is not something that we must throw to the government alone to help us take care. All of us must be involved. Everybody must come together. We must come together to discuss and see how we can go about this. I've been asking myself a series of questions about education, and one of the questions is, what happens to my unborn children? Who's going to teach them? What kind of education would they have access to? What would they enjoy in terms of education? Would they pass through the kind of system I went through? And all of these questions are what we are going to be discussing today. Another thing or another point that we have to check through is that EduTech is going to help us enhance individualized learning. That is one of the beauty about EduTech. For instance, we have seen the normal conventional learning in the country today, where students, you see students trekking several kilometers so as to get to school. You can imagine students trekking over 200 miles just because they want to go to school. And the class is supposed to start at 8 a.m. in the morning. And you can see students arriving in the school by 9. It is not their fault. These students are going through a lot. But with EdTech, you can be in your house, you can be in your closet, you can be in your environment, and education will just meet you there. So all of these are what we are going to be checking. And what we say, EduTech is going to help ease the burden on instructors. You can imagine in an environment or in a school where you have over 3,000 students with just 10 teachers. That is 3,000 students. It means that if you're having 10 teachers in a school, it means that a teacher is to take care of 300 students. And that is how you'll be taking care of 300 students every day. So that is by the end of 30 days in a month, 300 students must have passed through you in 30 days. So how are these teachers going to survive all of this? Or when you go to a class and you have about 200 students in a class that is not so wide, that is not so big, and you see a lot of our teachers today struggling with, they struggle with the class management. As you're trying to, probably you have 1 hour to take your class of 40 minutes, and your first 15 minutes is dealing with the class management, and you just have probably 25 minutes to run your discussion or to run the activities for the day. So all of these are some of the challenges that we are actually experiencing. Or we talk about children in the rural community that don't even have access to the place where school is. We have some children in some environment, and that is why today I will not but thank the CEO of Teach for Nigeria for the great work she's doing, the person of Olawe Nikole, and how they are all trying to make sure that quality education is accessible even to the child in the rural community. So we'll be thinking, we'll be looking at it together, we'll be checking all of this together, and to see how we can actually achieve the kind of education we deserve. So I want you to help me project my slide, and we'll be checking all of this together as we run through this discussion. So um, when we talk about the whole of this, then all of these challenges together through research, we have been able to understand that we cannot achieve what we call quality education. And even this quality education is one of the SDG goals. And it is one of the goals that will help us achieve all the goals in that sustainable developmental goals. Imagine you want to provide quality access to health facilities, and you don't have people that you have trained perfectly that can carry out this assignment. So you can imagine a child who runs through 100 level in university for 2 years. So we have it like that in our country today. And I begin to tell people, I continue to tell people that going on strike is not enough. However, if we must choose the strike as our own way of speaking the truth of seeking for justice in the education sector, then it is actually important for us to provide an alternative for all of these processes. So, um, when we say quality education is beyond the mathematics one, two, three. No, it is beyond mathematics. It is beyond one, two, three, four, five. What is it? Who is a boy? Who is a girl? No, that is not quality education. Quality education is a kind of education that every child outside will have access to, and they will be able to get lifelong skills such that when even they are independent, when they are on their own, they should be able to to thrive in the what in the global space. Today you see that there are a lot of jobs in the global space, and when you are comparing, when we begin to look for, when there are, sorry, when there are vacancies probably in the field of physics, you cannot, even today in the country, we have disparity. Where some people will tell you, okay, I am from Covenant University. Somebody will tell you, okay, I'm from Lagos State University, and they will begin to tell you, okay, you don't have such skills, you don't have such skills. But we are saying quality education where everybody will be able to confidently thrive in the global space. If you say you are giving me a medical job in the medical space, a student from Nigeria should be able to compete with a student from the US, should be able to compete with a student from Ghana, and this should be even. At least this competition should be even. We all should have access to all of these opportunities together. Now, let us go to the real discussion. Mr. Edwin Ajogun, I don't know if you can help me project my slide from your hand, or if I can just do that from my hand, please.
Yeah, yeah. Technical, can you kindly just publish the slide? Get your slide, please, so we can see.
So thank you very much. So we'll be talking about EduTech as the new norms to achieving this kind of education we are. We are not just
Sorry,
interested
I don't
in
think we have it. Can you project yourself? You
yeah,
can just share your screen. Just you have to be,
okay,
just share your
okay,
screen.
thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Again, yeah, share your screen. Yeah.
I'm just going to put that. So thank you very much. I'm just trying to do that on my hand right now. So um, that's great. So we can progress. Can you see my screen right now? Can we move further? Can you see my screen?
It's coming
Mr.
up.
Jogun, can you
Uh,
see my yes, can you see?
it's coming up. Yeah, it's up now. Yeah. You might want
Okay,
to just
thank you very much.
hit
Thank you very
present
much.
so you can get the full screen.
Okay, thank you very much. So I can just continue. So we are talking about the quality education that we deserve. That is quality education to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. That is even when the teachers are not available, when nobody is available, the children or the students should be able to thrive on their own. And how can we do this? We have highlighted 3 points, that is to reduce the burden of learning or teaching on the instructors, and actually to help promote individualized or enhance individualized learning, and also to promote the student outcomes. So all of these are what we're checking together. So you can imagine that in a school, we have about 3,000 students in a particular school building. And we can now, it's very possible that in a local government, we have just 4 schools. So which means in that local government, all of the schools in such local government will not have any option than just to find a way of fusing their self up inside that same learning environment. This so all of these are not going to be so easy. It's not going to be easy for us to get access to quality education, just like we have said. And so we have a place where we say the link bridge to quality education, and that is EduTech. How can the EduTech be a link bridge to quality education? EduTech can be a link bridge to quality education in the sense that the students can be in their own house and still get access to the kind of education they are coming to school to get. Imagine that we have, for instance, we have Jew lesson today. They are doing a lot of work. We have work from grade B. They are doing a lot of work, and we also have learners corner doing a lot of great work in the EdTech space. So imagine that the whole of the 3,000 students that we have in a particular school environment, that we now have the students in their various homes, and they are now learning through the importance of the application, or through the application of technology in the education sector. That is, these students don't have to trek a lot of miles. You can see the burden that we have been able to reduce from them. They don't have to trek a lot of miles. The students don't have to enter a class that is so populated, where we have over 300, 200 students in a particular class. So education is going to be so easy. It's going to help a lot of us, both the parents, both the teacher, both the school administrator. The technology in the education is going to help every one of us to get access to the kind of education that we deserve. That is, a student will not have to trek from his house to the school to get access to the quality education that he or she deserves. And now, if EduTech is the link bridge to quality education, if EduTech is the link bridge, if education is the link bridge to quality education, it is important that at the two receiving end, we have said that the students are the ones who are going to get the outcomes of quality education. But then we also have some persons at the other end who are going to come together to make use of this important opportunity, to make sure that these students are getting the right or the kind of quality education that they deserve. And these people that will be coming together to assess this will be the stakeholders. We talk about the stakeholders, we talk about the government, the funding agencies, people with great ideas coming together to think together. But then, if we have been able to get it right, that EduTech is the link bridge to quality education, is that enough? Are we going to stop at just this solution stage? Are we just going to just assume, okay, we have gotten the right link or the link bridge to quality education? It is not just enough for us to get this right, but it will be more interesting for us to progress and to see what we can do with it. So we have bridging the gap through collaboration, and this is where we are going to be discussing. We are going to be having a lot of discussion in this part, bridging the gap through collaboration. It is not enough for me, you, every one of us to have great ideas about the edtech or to have a solution, but it is much more, it is going to be so great, it is going to be so effective if every one of us can come together. Imagine I am having an idea in the edtech industry and I want to have my own edtech space. For instance, I want to have my own edtech space and I don't have enough funding for this to be effective. I just want to have my edtech space, and probably the purpose of having the edtech space is just to generate income and not thinking about those at the receiving end, which are the students. So it is not just enough for me to have ideas, but we'll be able to do a lot together. If I have an idea in the edtech industry, you have an idea in the edtech industry, somebody else also have an idea in the edtech industry, and we can all come together. We can all come together to discuss and to think. And this is going to be leading us to this next slide where we are bridging the gap through collaboration. And when you discuss collaboration, these are a lot of components of collaboration. We'll be talking about support, we'll be talking about teamwork, communication, trust, motivation, inspiration, and success. Success, which is the end point of all of these components. So when we say support, for instance, I have an idea about the edtech space. And this idea, I don't have access to funding. But then I know somebody who also have an idea about the edtech space, but have access to grant and funding. So we can come together. We can come together and work as a team. When we work as a team, one thing that will happen is that it is like I am bringing 4 liters of petrol, and someone is also bringing 4 liters of petrol. We'll be able to manage these resources, and by managing these resources together, we'll be able to achieve more work rate because we now have enough with us. Now, we have been through this, it means we are supporting each other to get to bring out something so quality and something so interesting in the space. Again, we'll be talking about communication. When you say collaboration, another important component of collaboration is that it helps us aid effective communication. We'll be able to communicate effectively. Communication will be going on because I know you have an idea in the edutech space. I also have an idea in the edutech space. I might be good at designing the structure, or I want it to be like. And you can also be good at, okay, I know how to assess the government on how to seek funds. Okay, I know how to bring a lot of teams together so that we can achieve this. Maybe, okay, I know how to communicate with instructors coming together so that we can achieve this. Another thing is trust. When we work together or when we work as a team, one of the important tools or components that must come to mind is that we must be ready to trust ourselves. So this trust is one of the issues that we are having in the space of education now. And that's why you see that you hear that ASU is going on strike today, they are going on strike tomorrow. Because okay, nobody's trusting each other. Even the students at times you will hear them when they are going to school, they just want to be so sure that they will not be coming home in the next 4 months. So we have to work on the trust process. We have to work on our trust. We have to try and build the trust when we are coming together. So all of these are the components that we have to check together. Another thing is there are days that when you are in the field together, when you are in the field alone, there are days that the motivation will not be there. It's like I'm getting tired. I feel like giving up. I feel like throwing this away. But then because we are working together, we are working with the aim of getting a goal together. We are all together. So the other person can say, okay, I'm going to motivate you. Okay, let us motivate each other. You can do this. Okay, this is how to go about this. Okay, this is how we can achieve this. Okay, this is how we can do it. Okay, so for instance, if I'm bringing just 5 million naira into the edutech space, and you can imagine that even just by working, because we can also achieve the EdTech space or learning process through the self-paced learning for students, where students will just have access to recorded learning session and they can just go through it themselves. So another thing is when you bring 5 million to the table, and before you know it, even before the end of production, and your money, you have exhausted all the money, which you can be very tired. It can be very frustrating. But then when you have people, when you work together, when you work collaboratively with other persons, you will be able to achieve a lot. And when you are motivated, there is something that happens next. It is inspiration. You'll be inspired to do more because when you see, when you begin to see some of the results of your hard work, when you begin to see some of the results of your teamwork, when you begin to see some of the results of the support you are getting from every individual that is working together with you in achieving the same goal, then the inspiration will come. And we cannot overemphasize what inspiration does. Because when you are inspired, you just want to do more. You just want to cover more space. You just want to do a lot of things. And can we just can we now achieve EdTech without collaboration? It is not possible. A person cannot find the whole of the solution to the education crisis that we are find ourselves in the global space. And when I say the kind of education crisis we have find ourselves in the education space, it is so important for us to understand that the problem we are facing in the education sector is so systematic that when you visit some students, they will tell you it is because they are having some family issues, and that is why they don't have access to quality education. Some persons will tell you, okay, it is because of health issues. Some persons will tell you because in my community we don't have access to good schools. Some persons will tell you a lot of reasons. But then when we come together, we'll be able to work, we'll be able to work collectively towards achieving a goal. And by compressing or by making use all of these components of collaboration, support, teamwork, communication, trust, motivation, inspiration, then the end goal is success. But then, in this case, because we have worked together, because we have worked together as a team, we have worked together, we have trusted ourselves, we have been able to support each other, the success that we'll be having this time around is not just going to be a minute success. It is not just going to be a small success, it's going to be a huge success because when I'm coming with my own idea, you are coming with your own idea, and you can see from this image, we have two headlamps coming together. We have idea and we have idea. So this idea is going to bring out the best ideas because all of us are coming together and we are working together as a team towards achieving a particular goal. So I am not just working on this goal independently. I don't just want to achieve it alone. I am working with you. You are also working with me. You are working with other stakeholders towards achieving a single goal. And that single goal is to achieve that every child outside there have access to quality education, irrespective of their background or their socio-economic background. So we can also see an image where we have people working together, making use of that important tools, which is collaboration and trying to fix the problem. So you see that in fixing this problem, one of those things that will happen on the course of fixing the problem is that they will be able to cover more space. They will be able to do more in a little time given. That is, the time spent on achieving a particular goal or progress is going to be very small. Instead of you, probably you start a project on EdTech, you are trying to, okay, for instance, today we have that even when you want to buy the writing tools in the EduTech space, or some of our teachers, when you want to get the writing tools to write for your students, you might need around 60,000 naira to get a better writing tools. And you can imagine that you want to get these tools for over 100 instructors in your EdTech industry. So it might not be easy that you are coughing out 700,000 from your end as a startup, that is, you are just starting and you want to cough out this money for this. But when we come together, when people are coming together to collaboratively work together with their resources, with their ideas, with their money, with all of their strength and working as a team, they'll be able to achieve a lot of things. So again, this is where we are going to round this session up today. I call this session the win-win scenario. Don't forget that in my previous slide, where we talk about where we talk about the stakeholders, where we talk about the stakeholders and the students at the receiving end. We said that these stakeholders, they have no option, because when you are trying to achieve a goal, you must pay some certain price. You must be ready to pay some certain price. And what the price they will be paying to achieving this is that they will be spending their time, they will be spending their energy, and they will be spending their financial resources. So at the end, you can imagine that when you come together to collaboratively work together, that your students are getting access to the education they deserve. From research and from teachers, we have been able to summarize the learning process of students, that when you give quality education to students, when they have access to what quality education is, they are always full with excitement, and they are always ready to do more. They are always willing to do more. They just want to do more. They want to impress you. They want you to know that what you are giving to them, they really appreciate it. And so, as the students are appreciating this, at the other part, at the other end, that is for the stakeholders, as the students are winning, because when you give them quality education, it is a win for them. And at the other end, as stakeholders, you must be very sure that you are also getting access to the wealth in the industry. That is, you will get access to the wealth in the industry. You have access to it. And what do I mean by access to it? You can imagine that you are coming up with an EdTech platform that you can have around 2 million students. That is 2 million students having access to that platform of learning. And let's just even let's take it on the basics. Let's just break it down. That is, each student is paying probably 3,000 naira to learn a particular subject. You can imagine, I want to learn a particular subject, I want to learn the whole of mathematics, or I want to learn 10 topics in mathematics, and I'm paying 3,000 naira. And you can have around 2 million students. You can see the reward, you can see the wealth in this industry. However, it might not be so easy to get this reward in the industry if we are not coming together, if we are not working as a team, if we are not doing a lot together. If we can't, if we are by now, all of us as stakeholders are supposed to know that there is no one single person that can solve the problem in the education space. There is no one single person that can solve the problem in the education space. So there is need for us to collectively come together so as to think about how we can achieve it. And I can so assure you that the end point of this assignment, or of this goal, is that every one of us will win. So the investors will not just win, the students will also win. And I can tell you, over the years, we have seen students leaving a particular learning center for the other. Why? Because they feel, okay, at the other learning center, they have quality teachers, they have better apparatus, they have a lot of equipment that is readily made available for them to learn all of the topics they need. So when you come up with a good platform in the edtech industry, so you can be so sure that all of your investments are not just going to be, it's not just going to be a waste. You are going to win, and the students will win. So, but today, I will like to round up this session by saying that it is never enough for us as stakeholders to actually be selfish when we are trying to provide access to quality education through the edtech. And what do I mean? We have a lot of investors, a lot of edtech personnel today, a lot of platforms that their major aim or their major goal of trying to bring up their platforms is just to make money. When you are making money and you are not giving us a good deliverable, that is, what you are giving is not effective enough for all of the students to, to also win, then you are not doing enough. So for us to do enough, to be able to achieve a lot, then it is better for us to collaboratively work together. That is, we must all come together and work together. So with this, I will say thank you for this session today, and we will be we'll be trying to check if there is anyone who will be having any question for us. So thank you very much, Mr. Ajogun, for this session today. Thank you
Thank you,
very much.
Oluwatosin. You've been very fantastic. I really like the way you have broken it down. I think it's the reason why we really talk to experts, because they always have this deeper insights that a lot of us who are not necessarily in the space can have. So I really, really I like what you said. I find it very interesting, and I like the fact that you've been able to, call for national participation from all stakeholders, both from the tech side, from the educator side, even from the parent side, to bring everybody together to come and be able to see what we can do to be able to grow the tech space. I really appreciate you. I have one question though. To you, what do you think is the biggest threat towards education, quality education right now in the country?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Aguigun, for that question. The biggest threat to quality education. Can we actually say we have the biggest threat, or can we just? It is better for us to say that all of the threat we have to quality
No,
education
I
is
want to know. I want to know your opinion is. I'm sure there are a lot of
okay.
threats. But what's your opinion? What if you were given, like a position to change one thing that you feel like, okay, let's start from here first. What would that be for you?
So, if I am given an opportunity to change, then it could be that I am going to start from reviving our curriculum. That is where we are going to start from.
Curriculum. Mm.
That is where we are going to start from. Because if you want to achieve this quality education, then it is better that when you have a big, a very big and broad learning process, you break it down to a very big. You can imagine students leaving their house by 6 o'clock a.m. in the morning and trekking some miles, spending 2 hours on the road before they get to school. And when they get to school, you want to keep them from 8 a.m. through 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We even have some schools where they tell students to wait behind and spend some extra time learning. That is, you are making students spend over around 8, 10 hours in the school. What are we learning? So you cannot achieve all of this. You cannot achieve effectiveness through engaging students through all of these processes.
Mm.
At least this time around, we have access to students using the marker board. In understanding what they are learning, they have access to notes. But then we were made known that even some of those our forefathers that were going to school then, they only make use of the plate, and using the plate where they will have to write something and also erase it in learning, they were able to achieve a lot. So we have to check all of this. And aside from also checking the curriculum, we can not also look through the curriculum without conducting an effective research. When I say effective research means you are engaging the stakeholders and also engaging the students. It is high time that start we start hearing from the student, because they are the one at the receiving end. It is not enough for us to make policy from our end and give to students. We must be able to hear from them and listen to what they want, or what they want to achieve, or what they think is the solution to what is surrounding them.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Um, one question. One more question from me. What would be your advice to anybody that wants to get started in building an edtech solution?
For anybody who wants to go into the edtech industry, my first advice is that you have to make your research very well about the industry. And just like I said today, from my experience in the edtech industry, we recently conducted a project in Learner's Corner. And what I observed from there, we were able to achieve a lot because we were working as a team. Just like I said earlier, it's not just enough for you to say you have an idea about edtech and you want to start alone. I can remember the other day when the Kyle was talking about startup, how to start, and he was talking about you building your team. So it is never enough for you to have the idea of the ed tech and you just want to start alone. It's important for you to collaborate with other persons who are having these ideas so that you can
Mhm.
achieve a lot in the industry, and also check for how this industry, how you can thrive in the space. So it is not just enough to have the idea. You have to make a lot of research about it and see how you can
Mhm.
move.
Mm.
So
Awesome.
that's right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. I just want to open the floor. So far, we don't have any questions anyway, but if anyone has a question, please just indicate and just share a question on any of our social media channels. One last question from me while we wait for that. Um, I know that we get this vibe that education is not being really looked at enough here in Nigeria. I don't completely subscribe to that. I think what is wrong with education in Nigeria is that we are employing a model that is socialist in in an industry that should be capitalist driven. I understand the fact that everybody wants free education or cheap education, but what we should be looking for is subsidized education. Um, Education can never be cheap, right? It can't be cheap. We need to, if we're going to make the necessary investments in curriculum, in talents to even grow the the educational industry. We need to be able to spend the amount of money that the government currently is either unwilling or unable to spend, and can only be funded by student school fees. And I think yeah, I'm trying not to sound ungrateful because I'm a beneficiary of reduced of what do you call it now, of the system that exists. And here I managed to go to school because my parents were able to pay very comparatively cheap amount to OAU. I mean, compared to what my peers were paying at Covenant and Babcock. But then still, when I look at what I have learned in school, when I come and I say, okay, is the point of um, school just to get the degree and come out and say, oh, I've got a BSc, or should there be a deeper meaning to it? So I really want to ask you, um, the current challenges that are being faced now in the educational system, do you think they can be solved or resolved by, removing government interference from the way schools are being run, or do you think that government should do more, or do you think that privatization is the best way for us to really transform the educational system in Nigeria? Because this can also lead to a significant investment in EduTech.
Okay. Thank you very much for that wonderful question. I will actually submit, and I actually agree to it, that education is not cheap. It is not something that anybody can just get their hands on. Well, just like I said, I won't want to go away from the fact that research will solve a lot of problems in the country. And I want to say that you must not be scared of starting and failing. There's a place where you try and you fail and you come again to try. So that is the place of research. When you are making research, you must not be totally, you must not zero your mind that all of the results you'll be getting will be will be in accordance to your pre-assumed results. That is one thing about research. Okay, you want to say, okay, let us privatize education totally. When we are privatizing education totally, it is also a good way to go. But I don't think it is a good way for us to take off the government totally from the education. It is not enough to take them away because even when you privatize education, you must be so aware that even the government will still have either way they will still be involved in all of those decision and policy making. So that is one of those things that we have to also check, we have to consider. But then I know that with stakeholders coming together to have discussion to achieve this, then we can actually achieve a lot. So in school today, you will see some students when they come, even from the basic education. Actually, maybe what we can try, what I think we can try in the country that I've been looking at, is making the basic education free. Then making the tertiary education, we make it to not that is we make students pay for it. That is, if you require them paying huge money, by so doing, you will know those who really want to learn, those who really deserve this education. So I think that is another way we can go. But as a researcher, I would tell you that there is no harm in trying and trying and trying until you get the best result for all of your trying processes. So I think, and that is where we are lacking in the country. We don't actually conduct research enough, and when we conduct our research, we are not actually making use of it. So that those are the things that I can say that we can try to make sure that we are getting access to quality education. Because you can imagine that even in some better institutions today, some students don't even know how to use the common Microsoft Word, not until it is time for their project work. So you can imagine. So
Yeah.
you want to employ a graduate, and the graduate is telling you, I don't know how to type. So it can be so funny, so all of these constitute together. So when we say quality education, then it must be quality. A student from the country Nigeria must be able to compete with students from every every area of the globe. So that's what I can say.
Yeah, especially when those when you have two institutions from two different countries saying they have issued somebody a degree in a particular topic or a particular field of in a particular field, you expect that both students coming from both from different countries or different institutions should be able to comparatively survive in the same environment if they are placed in. I completely agree with you. I think
Exactly.
the problem in education here in Nigeria is that we are seeing education as a way out of poverty or a way to
Hmm.
generate an income. Or rather, I would say we are seeing higher education as a way to generate an income because we're going to school because we want to be able to get a job and make an income and survive, right? But higher education should be more
Yes,
about
you're
just
right.
learning for learning. It shouldn't be about, oh, I want to go there and I want to make money and I want to be able to do I want to become rich one day, and so I want to go to school and learn a course that I have no interest in, I have no talent for. I just want to go and get the bag and come out and say, okay, and I'm done, and I'm going to apply for a job and get a job somewhere. So I think it still falls back to the government to be able to create, alternative methods for wealth creation so that we can live. So that, like you said, let it be that only those who are in school to learn, research, and advance knowledge in a particular area or field are those that are in school because that's the people we actually need, right? And that's why we're not
Exactly.
really moving
You're
forward.
still
We're
right.
just recycling knowledge because we don't. There's no incentive to invest into what we are learning in the curriculum. That's the thing. There's no incentive at all. But what's the point? I mean, people are not really going there to go and learn because I mean, the
You
idea
just want to
of
get
where
the
the university
certificate.
was designed, the university was designed that you go, you learn, you graduate, you come back, you take what you've learned, add a little bit of your project is supposed to be you adding extra knowledge to what you've learned in school. You become an expert in
Exactly.
that extra knowledge, come back, train the next generation. They too graduate with extra knowledge that you don't know or that you have to pass on and they've had to discover. And they come back and the cycle continues until we get to the point that for every cycle there's an additional knowledge found, there's an additional technology invented. But here we just come and we just keep recycling the same people over and over and over again.
Just
And
the
when we
same
have gone a
method, the
whole
same
decade and
process.
there's nothing that has moved. It's the same thing that's just been recycled over and over again. And you see in schools where you say, um, lecturers are using notes from 3, 4 years ago in the same class. And these things and
Yes.
it's sad. And
Still.
again, I still feel like the and a progressiveness in the school system will definitely lead to progressiveness in EduTech because both of them can't be divorced from each other. You cannot deliver education unless there's a standard curriculum, a facility, an infrastructure that's going to create or pave the way for people to innovate effectively in that area, right? If not, but just basically cycling, going around in circles. And I think, yeah, I think while the government has to play, I really hope that there are innovators that are watching us call now and are really getting their heads spinning, getting their heads turning, and are thinking about different ideas that can come and really hack around EduTech and see how they can be able to deliver quality education to really build the talent that we need, to grow and sustain our economy. So again, I thank you very much for this very, very wonderful conversation. I really enjoyed myself. I'm sure that everybody that watched this really enjoyed themselves too. Again, the links for our pages are there. Please follow us and like us. And I really would like to see you in the tech-based community on Telegram so we can be able to have much deeper conversations about this. And I really enjoyed having you today, Salvatore. And I hope we can one day we can really talk more and really have this bash boost, just to exchange ideas on what should be done in the tech industry. So thank you so much, Tosin. I like thank you for your time. Thank you much. I see as a very left. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for being here. I would like to thank you everyone that has been watching this session, and I hope to see you again next week when we have another episode of TechBiz, and we'll be here again to bring you another speaker on that wonderful topic And I hope you will be there to enjoy and grow and learn with us. Okay, thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend and a blessed week ahead. Yes, of course. Thank you. Bye.